All right, hey JT, listen, let's call this phase 2 of the garden project. So if you remember in my first video, and I'll put a link to it in the description below, but I was kind of dogging these irrigation pipes that I'd put in as a big waste of money. But I had someone kind of ping me on in the comments. I think it was Katie from Houston. Thank you, Katie, who kind of encouraged me to use a different system. So what I've done, and I'll show you what I got, is I went to Home Depot and got some 1/4-inch drip line, and I'll walk through what I got. And I'm going to plug them in. So if you'll see, I put PVC pipe to each one of my beds. So the plan is, I got a restrictor that I'm going to put it on the end of that hose part there. And each bed will get its own drip line, although they're all going to be on the same timer. So that's going to be the challenge, is making sure there's enough pressure for a 1/4-inch drip line for 5 beds. That's what we're going to find out when we're done with this. But I think it's going to work. Katie said it was going to work, so I'm going with that. So let me show you what I got. Here we go. All right, so I picked up about 200 feet of this 1/4-inch Rainbird drip tubing. I don't think this is anything special about Rainbird, the 1/4-inch rubber drip tubing. Got several of these, so basically I'll stand these up into the garden, put the hose there, and a sprayer on the top there. I'm going to give that a try for some of my, for the beans and some other things that are just sprouting up. These are some restrictors, so I got 5 of these because I've got 5 beds. That's the size of a hose end. That brings it down to a 1/4-inch. So I'm hoping that 1/4-inch will be enough back pressure to get water to all the beds. These are drippers, so 1 gallon per hour. So hopefully that's enough back pressure. 1 gallon per hour. That'll be most of the plants that I send a drip to. But I also have 2 gallon per hour, so twice as much water flow. I'll probably put those on just the tomatoes that might need a little more water. These are 2 different types of nozzles. So one will be kind of a micro spray jet, see, 365-degree angle. This is half. They call that a fan. So that'll be great for just spraying out if I want to do directional. And then this is just pipe tubing just to shut it off, or if I make a mistake, you can plug some holes with that. That's real simple to kind of clean up your work. All right, let's put it together. All right, I'm going to start with these. So that's a 3/4-inch that comes off your hose. That's a 1/4-inch for the tubing. So I'm going to install that first, and then we'll lay out the tube. Next, I'm going to lay out this tube as best I can, kind of right where it needs to go. I just got some kind of wire clippers. I think that'll work fine. They sell some clippers that come with this, like they're going to be special. I can't imagine they're anything special. So these should be just fine. So let's lay these out, and hopefully we'll have enough so I can take back my other 100-foot line of tubing. Another $10. Let's save that. Laying out the tubing, I realized that the tubing is fairly hard, so I'm going to need some way to stake it down into the dirt. So, they're pretty expensive at this store. They're like a buck a stake that held it in place. So I may just get some coat hangers, cut them up, use those. Probably work fine, but I'll take a look and see what I can work out. All right, problem solved. So luckily my wife had done a lot of dry cleaning, mostly before COVID. Grabbed a bunch of hangers, snipped them there, snip there, snip there. I've got a stake. It took me all of about 10 minutes to make those. So let's get to work. run the tubing to all the plants, connected them to the source at each bed, and I think I've got good coverage. What I've realized is I think I need a few tees to come off the main line and then distribute to maybe two plants that are close by, as well as to go into one of those riser tubes that it's a stake with a tube and then a sprayer on the top. So I'm going to count up, need a few of those. There might be some bubbler heads that I need to get, a few more of those. I've probably miscounted the number of plants I have, but in the meantime, before it starts raining, of course it's going to rain while I'm putting in a drip sprinkler system, right? I'm going to test the water just to make sure that when I turn it on, all 5 of the beds are getting water. So here we go. Nothing there yet. Oh, holy smokes. We got a wild one there. Okay, that one's working. That one's working. Looks like some great pressure. That one's working. That's 3, 4. We got water there. Oh, let's turn this one on. Boom. There we go. And there we got some pressure. All right. I'm feeling pretty good about this. Getting excited. Here we go. Hey, one more thing. Got to give you an update on the asparagus. So I cut these back 3 days ago. As you can see, they're up to my hip. Look at these. Holy smokes. Asparagus. It's like kudzu. You got to cut them back. Eat them up quick. So for this Rainbird watering system, which is probably similar to most drip systems, the recommendation for a vegetable garden is to use half-inch tubes, half-inch tubing, main tubing, with branching off into quarter-inch tubing, where you would add your drippers, your sprays, kind of all that stuff. What I've chosen to do is, instead of going from half-inch to quarter-inch, I'm using quarter-inch everywhere, and using T-joints at every where I have each plant, or where I want to put a sprayer. And I'm using a dripper, which gives me 1 gallon per hour of control. So that's what I'm working with for each of my plants, or the areas of plants. I've got a couple of bubblers which kind of cover a small area, and I've got some sprayers that cover a bigger area. But for the individual plants like a pepper or tomato or the sweet potatoes or cucumbers, I'm going to put a single source of water for each of those plants. All right, let's get to it. So I want to show you what I'm doing here. I've got a bubbler, and this is going to come out in, I think it's like 4 or 6 sprays out. And I'm going to put it between these 2 plants because they're close enough together. So here's my line. I created a T right there. So water's going to come in one side, go out the other, and I'll just go out to the bubbler. So I'll place that right about there. Cut the pipe, attach the T to both sides, just need a good little shove. Attach the bubbler. Just push that right down in between. Good to go. Now what I'm doing for a plant like this pepper plant, I'm going to do a single, a T with one of these 1 gallon per hour things here. And I'm just going to attach it just like this. Add the T. I'm going to take one of my stakes that I made. Just get that bubbler. It's not a bubbler. It's actually just a little valve there, right next to the base of the plant. And that should be good to go. Boom. All right, so I attached all the quarter-inch tubing, as well as the bubblers and the water constrainer things. I'm going to turn on the system to see what we got. I suspect I'm going to have to adjust some of the bubblers and some of the valves just to make sure that I'm getting consistent water drippage around the garden all at once. So here we go. All right, so looks like our bubblers are working. That's pretty sweet. I can turn that down a little bit. Just keep it all right there. That one's too big. Turn that down. It looks like I've got to tighten that a little bit. We're bubbling there. That looks good. Dripping. Dripping. Good. That's looking good. Let's open this puppy up a little bit. There we go. Nice. Get it all wet. That one's bubbling. Looks like we got a little leak here. We'll work on that in a minute. All right, sprinkler head working. There we go. Let's turn that down a little bit. Look at that. Oh, I'll probably turn it down from there. There we go. We'll adjust that a little bit later. Turn these up. Turn that down. All right. These are all looking good. Beautiful, beautiful. Give you a little more juice there. Same thing right over here. A little bigger. Of course, dog wants to know when he's going to get to play with the water. Let's open up this one. All right. Okay. Those a little bit big. I'm going to have to work on those a little bit. All right. So looking good. Pretty happy with this so far. Looks like just needs some tweaking. We're going to be in business. All right. So to wrap this up, what did I learn from this? I learned that 1/4-inch tubing works fine. It's just a different setup than the 1/2-inch tubing where you plug in the bubblers, where you plug in the T. I had to cut the line, put in the T, and do an extension for each bubbler or drip. Number 2 is the 1 gallon per hour drip is probably half as much, or maybe even a quarter of the bubblers where it has those six or 8 streams coming out. So anything that's getting the drip is getting a good bit less water than the spraying bubblers. So if I had to do it again, I'd either use all bubblers or all drip for most of my plants, including the tomatoes, which are probably gonna need more water. And then lastly, those tall sprayers, right now they're probably too tall because they're spreading out too far. They're like 12 to 16 inches off the soil. So they're spraying too far for the small area I'm trying to cover. So I'd probably either shorten that. Actually, I can probably do that. Cut them down and put the spray a little bit lower, or maybe use a bubbler in that area because I'm trying to cover about 30 plants in that one area. So otherwise, a big shout out to Katie in Houston for encouraging me to do the bubbler system, which I've done, which is going to be great. I've got the timer going. We'll get that going each morning, each night for about, I don't know, probably 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes. We'll try that out to make sure it's getting enough water. So thanks for joining me, and we'll see you soon. How hard can it be to put in a drip system? Not too hard, especially when you already have the pipes and valves already in place. But otherwise, it was pretty easy. So give it a try.